Man, has the Nasdaq 100 gone on a tear to begin 2023. From the beginning of the year through September 1st, up 41.6%. And investors have to be asking themselves, can tech stocks continue to roll like this? I'm Jason Hall. This is The Smattering. And we're going to take a look back over the past 20 years. There's been two other times that we've seen tech stocks go on this kind of a run to start off a year. And we're going to talk about what they did next over the years after those big runs. But before we talk about that, our videos are sponsored by The Motley Fool. And if you're looking for even more great investing ideas, be sure to check out our special link. Go to fool.com/the smattering. And The Motley Fool is going to give you its 10 best stocks to buy right now. You'll want to check that out after this video. Okay, let's take a look. So you see on the screen 41.6% in gains for the Nasdaq 100. That's been incredible. The Dow's up about 5.5% through the first 8 months of the year. The S&P 500 is up over 17%. So we're seeing pretty good returns across the market. But really, again, the Nasdaq and the Nasdaq 100 in particular are absolutely crushing it, up 41.6%. But again, investors want to know what's going to happen next. Let's go back in time a little bit, back to 2003. Over the past 20 years or so, there's been two other times we've seen the Nasdaq 100 get off to this start. So the first one, 2003, we saw a 36.25% gain from January 1st through September 1st. Huge run. Happened again at the beginning of 2009, 31.7% in gains to kick off 2009. So what do all three of those years have in common? Quite simply, the market was down pretty big coming into the beginning of those years. We go back to 2003. That was when we saw the market finally bottom coming out of the dot-com boom. Spring 2000 was the peak, and it was 2003 before the market bottomed. This was the recovery. Look back in 2009. The bottom was in March of 2009. The peak was in October of 2007. That was the global financial crisis, one of the scariest economic periods for most people's lifetimes. We saw the Nasdaq take off on an absolute bull run. So what did we see in 2022? The beginning of 2022 was the peak. That was the all-time high for the market. The market fell basically all year. And it was in late 2022, early 2023 that the market really started to recover. So again, that's what we have in common. All three of these periods of time come after really tough periods for the market in the prior year or multiple years for the two earlier periods of time. Now, let's take another look back at the chart and talk about what can we expect going forward. This is now. We don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe past history can give us a little bit of reason to be optimistic. So going back to 2003, let's go ahead and take this forward to, say, 2006. Market kept running. It was up 61.5% through 2006, so multiple years later. Again, we see the ups and downs. That happens. That's just the way the road goes. Let's look at that 2009 period, and let's say 2012. Look at that, 129% in returns. Again, coming off of 31.7 gains. Big bull run. Now, I'm going to look at that 2009 plus period going through today. 12 bagger return, 1,150% in returns. Again, we saw that big sell-off in 2022. Always go through those periods. Let's go all the way back to that 2003 period, 1,440% in returns. Does that immediately mean you're going to take this 40.6% in return and say we're going to get big gains? I will say this. We don't know what's going to happen, but we do know that historically, tech companies, again, that's what drives the Nasdaq 100. These tech stocks, these tech businesses have consistently innovated. We've seen the Amazons of the world, the Apples, Alphabet, parent of Google and YouTube. You're watching this on YouTube right now. That's an Alphabet company. Microsoft, these massive tech companies. One of the things that they've been able to do that prior generations of largest companies weren't able to do as well is levels of profitability, massive profit margins that these companies have. So we continue to see that technology and innovation across businesses and help more companies be more profitable. So I think we're going to continue to see that being the case. The question, are we going to see the rise of the next Microsofts, the next Alphabets, the companies that were big, but are going to become these mega companies generating mega profits and deliver the same kind of outsized returns for NASDAQ 100 and tech stocks? I don't know if we're going to see exactly the same kind of generational, life-changing companies that we've seen with these. But I think we probably will see some great investments. What should investors do? Continue to focus on companies that have really durable moats, whether it's network effect, whether it's establishing a strong market that you're able to defend with pricing power and cost advantages. Finding those businesses, that's going to be your secret to finding the next big winners. Focus on those things. And you can see the companies that are doing it because they're the ones that are able to hold their margins and maybe even expand their margins over time. That's going to be your best way to find the next winners that are going to drive the NASDAQ 100 over the next 5, 10, and 20 years.